May 17th. District Court, Defendant Lobby. Number 3.
Mr. Wright is sure acting funny. I mean, he's famous for going out on a limb, but that last assertion was just plain crazy. It's either a bluff or a Hail Mary. Either way, it doesn't make much sense. Maybe there's something we're missing here. Although he seemed perfectly normal when we spoke earlier. Apollo, I have a bad feeling about this. I'm gonna go check up on him.
What's going on with you, Mr. Wright? Hey.
Private Justice.
Oh, Sarge.
I forgot to mention something. On the night of Papa's murder, a strange thing happened.
Oh? But why are you only telling me about it now?
Well, I didn't say anything before because I thought Papa's death was an accident. But now that we know otherwise, I figured it might be important.
There's still more to this case?
When I left my room and lost consciousness, I passed out right here.
That's right above the coffee bar.
But when I came to, someone was pushing my wheelchair.
What?
I was so scared I beat a hasty retreat as fast as my wheels could take me.
Do you know who it was?
No, it was pitch black. Plus, I fled in my room so fast I didn't even have a chance to turn on the lights.
Maybe it was your father.
No, he would have said something to me. Besides, I'd have known if it was him.
So then it could have been your father's real killer?
My thoughts exactly.
But you didn't report this to the police?
It didn't even occur to me.
It's okay. You were obviously still upset, so don't beat yourself up over it. Apollo, this could be really important information. I think the act of pushing Sarge's wheelchair could be part of some bigger scheme. It's hard to see why else the killer would have done such a thing.
Guess I should take her statement down as evidence.
Which we should. Oh, welcome back, Athena. What's with the long face? How'd it go with Mr. Wright?
What should I...
Athena.
Oops, sorry. Zoned out there for a sec. The recess is almost over, so let's go.
What was that all about? May 17th. District Court, courtroom number 6. All right, court is once again back in session. Now, Mr. Wright, about that last objection you raised. We, the plaintiffs, still believe that the defense has yet to sufficiently prove its case. They claim that according to legend, the Founder's Orb will bestow spiritual power, yet the relic in question has failed to do so. Therefore, it has failed its own test. I see.
He's sticking with that ridiculous argument.
Furthermore, even if the Founder's Orb, it is the Founder's Orb, it can't be awarded to the Defiant Dragons. After all, they're the ones who killed Dr. Buff.
Objection!
What are you talking about? That was already proven to be false. There are no grounds for asserting that the Defiant Dragons murdered their doctor. Oh, but I'm afraid there are, Mr. Justice. Your Honor, I would like to present new testimony to this court. Testimony that will show that Dats Arabal did in fact kill Dr. Buff. What? Very well, you may call your witness.
I guess Mr. Wright found another new angle.
What new testimony could there be this late in the game? Oh, it's this guy. Fellow citizens, it is I, Paul Atishon, the once and future representative of the people. Jeez, not him again. My client divulged new information to me during the recess. He remembered something he saw. You see, something crucial to this case. I see. How very convenient. Witness testimony. That's his crime. It was around 11 at night, and I was on a mobile meet and greet around the village. That's when I saw Dr. Buff being murdered from outside his study window. Mr. Arabal snuck up from behind and struck him on the head. His weapon of choice? A suitcase. A big strong man like him could easily swing a heavy suitcase into someone's head. You saw the murder as it happened? And you're just telling us now because... I saved the best for last. It's a tactic known to all the political greats. The murder weapon was a complete mystery, but my client's eyewitness account has finally brought it into light. According to the autopsy report, Dr. Buff was struck in the head by the corner of some object. I suppose that could very well be the corner of a suitcase.
Objection!
That's BS. But eyewitness testimony isn't the same as hard evidence. Oh? I wouldn't worry about that if I were you. What's that supposed to mean? We have physical evidence too. A luminol test revealed. The doctor's blood on Mr. Arabal's suitcase. Really? But how does that prove Mr. Arabal used it as a weapon?
Objection!
You should know the answer to that, Mr. Justice. Since you know as well as I that the suitcase is covered in his fingerprints. Ah! I forgot we dusted it right in front of Emma! As if things can't get worse enough. The Turnabout terror strikes again. This is quite convincing testimony and evidence. Nevertheless, you may proceed with your cross-examination, Mr. Justice. It's time we put this politician in his place. It was around 11 at night, and I was out on a mobile meet and greet around the village. That's when I saw Dr. Buff being murdered from outside his study window. Mr. Arabal snuck up from behind and struck him on the head. He snuck up from behind? So you're saying the doctor never even realized Mr. Arabal was there? That's right. He was utterly absorbed in a book. I see. What did you see Mr. Arabal do next? He climbed up the bookshelf ladder and dumped a bunch of books down on the body. I believe he was trying to make it look like an accident. But that idiot didn't realize I could see everything from outside the window. One of those statements doesn't feel right. Your Honor, I believe the witness made an important statement just now about how the doctor was reading a book. The doctor was reading a book at the time of the murder. That's vital testimony. Very well, the witness will please add that statement to his testimony. The doctor was standing in front of the bookshelves, absorbed in a book. Well, we did find his reading glasses, so...
Objection!
That do? The doctor was standing in front of the bookshelves, absorbed in a book, you say. I'm sorry, but it seems your testimony is completely unreliable. That's quite a bold statement. Well, let's hear you back it up. I challenge you to prove that I am anything but 100% reliable. It would be my pleasure. Lately, it seems the doctor's eyes had gotten so bad he needed reading glasses. However, his reading glasses were over on his desk. So you see, there's no way he could have been reading in front of the bookshelves. I'm sorry, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, but I'm gonna have to ask you to explain this discrepancy to the voting public. You what? I'll explain it, you lowly cur. I simply made a mistake, you see. The doctor was actually sitting at his desk when Mr. Arabal hit him over the head. But then the doctor would have been facing him. Surely he would have seen him and tried to run. Dr. Buff was nodding on. I could tell because his eyes were closed and he wasn't moving. Sounds more like what you would do. Then how do you explain the fact that he was struck in the back of the head? Isn't that something that should be impossible from the front of the desk? Oh, about that. He bowed his head when he nodded off. That's when he was clobbered. So that's what you saw. Well, Mr. Justice, that sounds like a perfectly reasonable explanation to me. Do you have a problem with the proposal that the doctor was struck while nodding off? A big problem. There is a problem. A very big problem. The witness's statement doesn't hold up under the slightest bit of scrutiny. Is that so? Then will you please show the court what evidence you have to justify this? Gladly, Your Honor. This shows the problem with the witness's claim that he saw the doctor nodding off. The study diagram.
Take that!
A diagram of the study? Mr. Atishon-Wimperson allegedly viewed the murder from here. And the doctor was allegedly nodding off here. But from his vantage point, the bookcase would have blocked the witness's line of sight. Why, yes, I believe you're right. But...
Objection!
Not yet. The fact remains, my client knew that the suitcase was the murder weapon, so he definitely has first-hand knowledge of the crime scene. I'm afraid I have to agree with you there, Mr. Wright. But then we have to ask ourselves, from what vantage point did he see the murder? What are you insinuating, Mr. Justice? From what vantage point could Mr. Atishon-Wimperson have seen the dozing doctor? Once we determine that, I believe we'll finally see the truth behind this incident. The witness saw the murder from right here, inside the study itself. Yes, that would most likely be it.
Take that!
You've got to be kidding! But that's... It is indeed. But everything only makes sense if the witness was there in the study. Inside the study? But that's the scene of the crime! I know. Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, the man who claims to be a witness to the murder, was most certainly in that very room. Apollo, are you suggesting? Yes. Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, weren't you the one who actually swung that suitcase?
Objection!
Come on! What you're proposing is ludicrous. My client is a small, thin man, whereas Mr. Arabal has the musculature to pull it off. He has a point. I gave up trying to lift that thing after one go. That's right! He's the only one who could have lifted such a heavy object. Now do you understand? The rebel Dats Arabal is the doctor's killer. As long as the suitcase is the murder weapon, the suspicion falls entirely on Dats. You'll have to poke a hole in Mr. Wright's argument somehow, Apollo. Oh, I will, and with his own technique, no less. If Mr. Atishon-Wimperson could have swung the suitcase around, we'll just have to consider another way he could have used it as a murder weapon instead. I'm going to turn this case on its head, Mr. Wright, just like you taught me. You talk big, Mr. Justice, but do you have what it takes? Well, this should be interesting. Mr. Atishon-Wimperson's testimony has been filled with one inaccuracy after another. First, he stated that Dr. Buff was in front of the bookshelves. Now he claims that the doctor was sitting at his desk. So where was the victim really when he was killed? Also, where was his killer? And how was the murder weapon really used? So the important thing here is the position of the victim and the killer relative to each other? Yes, Your Honor. If they were positioned in a certain way, it would be possible to use the suitcase as a weapon without lifting a finger. You can't mean. I would ask the court to recall the study's layout. It's quite distinctive, as you can see. Now, if Dr. Buff were sitting in a certain spot and his killer was at a certain other spot, the suitcase would become a weapon anyone could use. Very well, Mr. Justice. Where was Dr. Buff's killer at the time of the crime? Simple. He was right here, to the left of the coffee bar area. Or rather, right here.
Take that!
There? Oh, that's... This should wrap things up nice and pretty for you, Mr. Wright. I would ask the court to recall the study's layout, but this time, instead of thinking in 2 dimensions, Let's think in 3. Only then can we clearly see the killer's method at work. The killer didn't have to swing the suitcase. If he used gravity to his advantage, that is. That's right. It was the plaintiff, one Paul Atishon-Wimperson, who used the staircase. He pushed it from the 2nd floor, rather it was the suitcase, and sent it hurtling down onto Dr. Buff, who was sitting at the coffee bar. Bonk! Yeah! The psychology book had been in the coffee bar, no doubt. The doctor must have set it down there after he finished reading it, or the like. But his blood got on it, which is why the killer thought to hide in that mountain of books.
Objection!
That's quite an entertaining theory you have there, Mr. Justice. But there's no evidence that the murder took place at the coffee bar. I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Wright. I'd say that evidence of the murder occurring at the coffee bar exists. The evidence does exist, and I'm going to show you. You are? This right here is proof that the murder took place at the coffee bar. This book right here. This brown stain was determined to be coffee. What's more, it was still a bit damp when we saw it yesterday morning. One look at this book speaks volumes, I'm afraid, Mr. Wright. It tells us the doctor was having a cup of coffee at the coffee bar. That's when the suitcase came hurtling down, striking him on the head, causing both his blood and his coffee to spatter on it. Ah! Ah! Well, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, what motive could I have possibly had to kill Dr. Buff? And there it is, that final excuse cornered killers are so fond of. Well, the doctor never returned your crystal to you, did he? Instead, he hid it in the cave ruins. Ugh. Telling him that the Defiant Dragons were a dangerous bunch was a huge blunder. All it did was make him hide the orb. Your lie came back to bite you in the ass in the end. Ugh. Even worse, the doctor saw the news report, so he knew the relic was the Founder's orb. Being the conscientious researcher he was, he knew he had to return it to its rightful place. And that meant keeping it out of your hands. Ah! You were so angry that he refused to return the relic to you, that you killed him with your own hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson? Ah! Ah! Yeah, you break it even worse, buddy. That is...
Hold it!
Really, Wright? Apollo, don't! Please don't accuse my client of murder. Huh? What do you mean, don't accuse him? Why would you even say that, Mr. Wright? What I meant was, he's a promising politician with a bright future ahead of him. It's in our nation's best interest to avoid burdening him with the taint of scandal. Say what? Yeah, keep taping it. That's not gonna save you at all. Right. You better do something to change the current courtroom climate, or I'll be charged with murder. And you know what will happen to her if that happens. Ugh. What's he talking about? Well, I can ponder that later. For now, Mr. Wright, you can't possibly believe that Mr. Arabal is the killer. Are you really gonna send an innocent man to prison? I thought you were better than that. Well, Mr. Wright, answer me! Mr. Wright, what in the world's going on here? If you won't say anything, then... Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, the defense... Apollo, wait! Not you too, Athena!
It's just, I I wasn't sure whether I should say anything, but during that last recess when I went to check on Mr. Wright, I overheard something I shouldn't have.
I trust Maya is unharmed. I can't really say, but just remember, if I'm arrested or fail to obtain the treasure, there will be consequences. Consequences of the worst kind if you catch my drift. Ugh. Relax. All you have to do is ensure I get my hands on that relic. I must deliver it to my benefactor at all costs. What do they want that relic for anyway? It's something to do with an old legend. My patron seeks the great power said to be granted to whoever solves its secret.
Maya? As in Maya Fey? Yes, the boss's legendary former assistant. Miss Fey's being held hostage? So it seems.
Why didn't you tell me as soon as you heard this?
Sorry, it's just Mr. Wright spotted me before I could slip away and made me promise not to tell you. He said it would make things more difficult if you found out.
Ugh! As if things weren't already hard enough!
So that's why Mr. Wright was acting so strange.
I had no idea. This must have been excruciating for him. Think, Justice. There's got to be something you can do.
Mr. Justice, about that last statement of yours. I believe you were in the middle of accusing the plaintiff of murdering Dr. Buff. Would you care to continue?
I'm sorry, Apollo. I'm really, really sorry.
What's got into you two?
If I accuse that slime bag, I put Miss Fey's life in jeopardy. It seems you finally caught on. I'm far too important to be accused of murder. After all, our nation's future rests squarely on my shoulders. Either I give up or... This scumbag's gonna get it, I promise you that. Once I present the crystal to my patron, my victory is assured. Then one day I'll become president and then king. I'll have every politician at my command. Now retract your accusation. I can't kowtow to him, but the defense would like to retract the previous accusation.
Dirk with the clutch! Apollo.
Dirk!
I don't know what's going on here, but a lawyer should never look the way you do right now, with defeat and resignation written all over your face.
A dragon never yields.
Even when wounded, a dragon bites down hard and never lets go till its dying breath. It glares, it roars, and it latches its jaws firmly onto its prey till the bitter end. That's what lawyers do to get to the truth.
Dirk, a dragon never yields. He's right. It's all over if I give up now. If Mr. Wright's hands are tied, it's up to me to do what must be done. He saved my neck so many times. Now, it's my turn to save his. Dirk, thanks for that wake-up call.
Now that's the face of a lawyer you've got there, son.
Where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm going to find the way to save Miss Fey and see that justice is served. Thought route, engage! That scumbag is holding Miss Fey hostage to ensure he gets the orb for his patron, and it seems said patron believes in the orb's legend. Thing is, the founder did appear when the orb was exposed to fire, just as the legend said. If the legend is true, then we've already solved the riddle, right? No, we haven't. The legend says the founder will bestow great spiritual power when she returns. But if that's true, it means we haven't solved the whole riddle yet. But how can that be? Are we missing something? Wait, maybe the part about the founder returning should be taken literally.
But how would it be possible for a dead person to return to the world of the living? Channeling! Oh, I know! There is a way for the dead to return! Spirit channeling! Of course, you have to know what the founder looks like first. But the orb has revealed her face to us, so what if it's a sign that we should channel her? Given the facts, in order to solve the riddle and receive the founder's power, I need a spirit medium! A medium is needed to obtain the power! The ability of a medium to channel spirits is the final key to unlocking the orb's secret. That means Mr. Atishon-Wimperson's patron will need one too. And once that slimy politician realizes that, he won't be able to lay a finger on Miss Faye. Thought route over. Everything's going to be okay, Mr. Wright, because Mr. Paul Atishon-Wimperson can't afford to harm a hair on Miss Faye's head. Huh? Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, it seems you've chosen the wrong person to take hostage. What do you mean? Your patron seeks to solve the orb's riddle, and thereby receive great spiritual power. However, only Maya Fey can truly give them what they really want. She can? What do you mean, only Maya Fey? Think about what the return of the founder really means. We should have considered it more literally. After all, the orb was made in the kingdom of Kurine, the birthplace of spirit mediums. Ah, I think I see now. You need to know what the deceased looks like in order to channel them. But in Kurinism, depicting the face of the founder is taboo. However, her true face was hidden in the orb. So maybe the orb is telling us to try channeling the founder. Exactly. Through a spirit medium, the founder can quite literally return. And if the legend is true, the founder just might bestow spiritual power on someone when she does. It's like when Pearls imbued my Magatama with spiritual power. If a human could be imbued with such power in a similar manner, it is said the founder possesses immense spiritual power. Such a great feat would not necessarily be beyond her.
Wait a second! Then the legend is true?
Do you understand now, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson? You are holding hostage the final key to unlocking the orb's secret. And if anything were to happen to her, the riddle will remain unsolved. Forever. Ah! There's always Pearl Faye! I could simply ask her to help! If she wants money, I have plenty to offer! She's not the kind of person to be tempted by material gain, and she certainly wouldn't help you if anything were to happen to her cousin. Or maybe you'd like to go ask the Queen of Kurine to channel the founder for you. He could, but he'd probably get executed for requesting such a thing. It's over. Now confess. You killed Dr. Buff, didn't you? It wasn't supposed to end this way! Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, are you admitting to committing the crime? You're my lawyer, right? Do something! It's true that I'm your lawyer, and as such, it's my job to defend you. However, defending my client isn't the only duty a lawyer has. There's something else that's equally as important, and that is finding the truth. What? Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, you have sought to twist the truth in the dirtiest of ways. I was complicit in your hostage-taking, but in a way I was being held hostage too. Even so, there's still hope for me to make things right, and I owe it all to you, Apollo. Mr. Wright, I can't allow a murderer to walk away scot-free. Therefore, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, I must resign as your attorney. No! Ah! Does this mean I'm under arrest? No!
No amount of tape will fix it. Trust me. Well, I've nothing to confess. What? I said I've nothing to confess. I don't, and I won't, especially not to a plebeian like you. This guy doesn't know when to give up. Besides, there's no truth to these allegations. I mean, look at the suitcase. You won't find a single print of mine on it. All that means is you wiped them off, taking care to only leave Mr. Arballs. As many a great politician has said before me, no comment. In that case, try switching things up, Apollo. Look at the situation from a different angle. Is there really nothing that points to the suitcase being dropped from up above? Evidence that points to the suitcase being dropped from the second floor. If the killer pushed the suitcase from the second floor hallway over the coffee bar, that would place him right around here. Ah, maybe, just maybe. Thought of something, Apollo? I believe this piece of evidence to be connected to the dropping of the suitcase. Army's statement.
Take that!
That appears to be a statement, but how is that related to this case? On the night of the murder, Your Honor, Miss Army Buff physically left her room. That's when she saw the doctor burning the orb and subsequently passed out, right above the coffee bar. But with her there in her wheelchair, the killer wouldn't have been able to drop the suitcase down onto the doctor. Good point. However, according to Sarge, she woke up just as someone was trying to move her in her wheelchair. Ah. Someone was pushing my wheelchair. What? I was so scared I beat a hasty retreat as fast as my wheels could take me. She must have been in the killer's way and had to be moved. Isn't that right, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson? And if the killer had pushed the wheelchair with his bare hands, we may yet find the conclusive evidence we need. Exactly. Fortunately for us, that evidence slipped right through the killer's fingers. If only he'd been able to hold on to it just a little tighter. But now he is neither able to discard nor alter it. Honestly, that piece of evidence wasn't even supposed to be here in this courtroom today. And yet, it looks like sometimes things do get better.
But this wasn't supposed to happen.
No? Well, too bad. Because the evidence that sped away from you that night has come back to haunt you, right here at this very trial. Your Honor, the defense's final piece of evidence is on this person. Army Buff.
Take that!
That's...
On the night of the murder, Sarge passed out, only to come to and find that someone was pushing her wheelchair. That's when she fled back into her room. She didn't physically see a single soul after that. Not until Athena drew her out through that therapy session, that is. While the killer was able to wipe the prints on the suitcase off, the same can't be said for the prints that got away.
My fellow Kuranians.
Well, Mr. Paul Atishon-Wimperson, try to explain out of this one. The podium is all yours.
Paul Atishon, Savior Kurine. I'm not a crook. My political career, it just can't end like this. I'm destined for great things. Something's wrong. This isn't real. It's a dream. No, a nightmare. Oh! Huh? What? Wait, really? Ah! Ah! Whoa, no way! Banzai! 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 Wait, what? No! Please! Wait! Don't go! No! No! Please! Whoa! Grandpa!
Good riddance to bad rubbish. Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, are you all right? Bailiff, get him to the first aid station on the double. Well, this was yet another unexpected turn of events. In light of everything that's been revealed, it seems the relic is indeed the Founder's All. And it seems Mr. Paul Atishon-Wimperson can be considered a suspect in Dr. Buff's murder. Apollo, I want to thank you for everything. Huh? Thanks to you, I didn't have to keep bending the truth. I don't know what I would have done without you.
Don't mention it. You were amazing today, Apollo.
Well, I couldn't have done it without Dirk.
A dragon never yields.
Even when wounded, a dragon bites down hard and never lets go till its dying breath. It glares, it roars, and it latches its jaws firmly onto its prey till the bitter end. That's what lawyers do to get to the truth.
A dragon never yields. Every lawyer should take that to heart.
As it seems both sides have no further objections, would Dirk Sudmati please take the stand?
This court awards the orb to the Defiant Dragons per the stated transfer agreement.
Not to mention that's our ball is declared not guilty.
Should the Kingdom of Khura'in claim ownership, the matter may have to be deliberated in court all over again. I just hope, or shall I say pray, that I'm not the judge presiding over that one.
Indeed, a trial like that might spark an international incident. Still, there are bigger and more momentous things astir in the air.
The revolution. Dirk's really serious about this.
This court is adjourned.
May 17th, District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 3.
Nice work, son. We've finally broken through the last obstacle on the road to revolution.
Revolution. It just doesn't seem real.
Yes, well, to think you actually defeated the fighting Phoenix. All I can say is, that's my boy.
Well, Mr. Wright did have his hands tied. Who knows if I had won if he'd been able to fight me head on.
I see it more like you saved Mr. Wright.
Saved him?
Yeah, remember what he said? He didn't have to bend the truth anymore, it was all thanks to you.
I don't know about that. Still, I guess it is kind of nice to be appreciated.
Mr. Dirk? Now that the Holy Mother's face has been revealed, are you gonna have a spirit medium try channeling her? I for one would love to see the return of the legendary founder.
Yeah, just think about it. Being able to speak to someone right out of the history books.
Unfortunately, it's not that easy.
What? Why?
A face isn't enough. You also need the true name of the one you're attempting to channel.
Oh, right. Pearl mentioned something like that.
And the founder's true name is only known to the priestess who's been crowned queen. In short, the only living person who knows it is the current queen of Khura'in, Garan.
Oh, so without her help, we won't be seeing the founder anytime soon?
That's no fun.
So, Dirk, what will you do now?
First, I'll start by tracing the route by which the orb came into Dr. Buff's hands.
Since we now know it was Paul Atishon that asked the doctor to study it, isn't he the one who stole it?
No, a political nobody like him couldn't get anywhere near the orb, let alone steal it. He must have had inside help. My money is on someone connected to the royal family.
Oh, right. You said something to that effect back in the cave.
Whoever it may be, we need to expose their dirty scheme to the light of day.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Wright has plenty of information courtesy of his dirty client. He might be able to shed some light on this. Private Justice.
That was fine work you did at the trial today. You did your sergeant proud.
Back at you, Sarge. It took real courage to leave your room like that.
It's all thanks to you and Corpsewoman Sykes. With my siege defense over, I can finally sally forth.
But the battle's only just begun. One for me and me alone to fight.
To lose your mother and then your father. What a terrible thing to endure.
Yeah, and being wheelchair bound doesn't help.
Private Justice, I've been thinking. It's about time I stood on my own 2 feet. After all, I no longer have Papa to coddle me.
Huh? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Take a good look, soldier. This is one small step for man, and one giant leap for me. Hold my drone for me, would you, Private Justice?
Yes, sir. What is she up to?
Whoa!
She's standing up! She's standing? What's this? Sarge, you mean your legs? They're...
The doctor told me I was ready to walk again months ago. But if I admitted I could walk, I knew I'd have to leave the house. So I faked it.
Makes sense, but...
I kept pretending I couldn't walk. But I know Papa's watching over me now, and I'd hate to disappoint him. So from this day forth, I'm gonna march forward on my own 2 feet.
What a brave kid, trying to move forward like this. But it must be so hard this soon after her father's death.
Don't you ever stop. You just keep on walking, comrade. Stay brave, because there will be days when you'll want to stop. But I have faith you'll find a way to muster the strength to push through them.
Yeah, you can do it.
Hey, Daddy's back!
Mr. Wright, what's that look on his face for? Oh, Apollo. Is everything all right with Miss Faye? She's safe. For now.
Well, then we better go save her, quick! Where is she anyway?
I'm afraid I have some bad news. Huh? Maya? Not here in the States. She's still in Karai. And she's still being held hostage by the mastermind behind this whole thing. The mastermind? That's right. Paul Atishon-Wimperson was nothing more than a pawn. Maya's true abductor is in the kingdom of Kurai. What? I don't understand, Mr. Wright. What in the world's going on over there? But as shocking as that news was, it was only the beginning. The beginning of something big. Big enough to shake Kurai to its very core. Revolution. I was being swept up in a mighty wave that nothing could stop. Of course, at the time, I had no idea what the days ahead had in store for us. None of us had any idea of what's yet to come. That is it. If you enjoy it, like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell. I will see you then, because the next few parts following, all hell is about to break loose. So I will see you then. This is MegamanNG signing off. Peace out. Product provided by Capcom.